You people can't be that stupid that you think the Trump administration want 8-year-olds and up to work for food stamps.
They're not cutting Medicaid in this package. There's a lot of misinformation out there about this, Jake. The numbers of Americans who are affected are those that are entwined in our work to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse. And what do I mean by that? You got more than 1.4 million illegal aliens on Medicaid. Medicaid is not intended for non-U.S. citizens. It's intended for the most vulnerable populations of Americans, which is pregnant women and young single mothers, the disabled, the elderly. They are protected in what we're doing because we're preserving the resources for those who need it most. You're talking about 4.8 million able-bodied workers, young men, for example, who are on Medicaid and not working. They are choosing not to work when they can. That is called fraud. They are cheating the system. When you root out those kinds of abuses, you save the resources that are so desperately needed by the people who deserve it and need it most. That's what we're doing, and that's why this is the morality of what we're doing here is precisely right, and it comports with all the public opinion polls. When people ask whether young men, for example, who are able-bodied and have no dependents should be working, everybody says yes. And that's what our package does. They're not
a bill to where single parents with like children under the age of 7 won't qualify for benefits if they get into a hardship, which everybody gets into a hardship right now in this economy. But he's singling out single parents, but he's not singling out the absent parent. Trump really needs to make some of these laws go to the absent parent, because most of the time we didn't choose to be a single parent. We got forced to be a single parent. And the absent parent, nothing ever happened to them motherfuckers. Nothing. How many motherfuckers is back on child? My baby daddy is probably over 60, 70, 80 grand.
Boy.
Well, that's our fault for not pursuing the child support. If you're down and out on your luck, things happen where you end up being a single parent, those are your kids. And if you're living in a country where the society is kind enough to want to give you a helping hand, because there are some countries they don't have welfare. If your country is kind enough to give you a helping hand and your child has reached school age where they could be in school during the day, is it really too much to ask for you to either go to school, get a job, or to volunteer in your community? I'm sure there are a lot of churches and nonprofits that need the help. Homeless shelters, battered women's shelters, community cleanup programs, foster care advocate programs. There are a lot of hospitals. There are a lot of places that could use the extra helping hand. So here it is, you're down and out on your luck and you're asking society to help you, but you have this attitude where you don't need to help society. That is not the way that we should be looking at things. But when it comes to a large population in America, they're so entitled to the point where they think the whole world thinks that they're entitled to America. The whole world thinks they're entitled to just walk up here and get free food, housing, clothing, and everything. The whole world thinks that they can just charge us whatever they want on tariffs and not give us anything in return. The whole world thinks that we can just fund their wars. They go start wars or they get in a war. Our tax dollars are supposed to pay for it. The whole world thinks that they are entitled to the American taxpayers' money. So do I think it's too much to ask if your children are 8 and older for you to be doing something productive with yourself? No, I don't think it's too much to ask. And they can miss me with it's going to affect the black community the most. Well, the black community needs to get up off their ass the most. Pick up a fucking broom and sweep your communities. Volunteer in your kids' school. Do something with yourself. Better yourself. Better your education. Do something to be upwardly mobile instead of perpetually horizontal. A simple Google search, a simple look into the bills, this way, anything that comes from liberals, Democrats, Democratic elected officials, left-leaning media, you really have to research it because they're such liars and they have broken the trust of so many people in this country to trust them in what they say at face value. All these people making TikTok videos, spreading this misinformation, trying to just gin up fear and all of this other stuff, it's just, to me, it's just foolish. A simple Google search, a simple research on your own. That's why they lost the last election. Because people were looking into things independently for themselves. If the Democrats want to redeem themselves, how about they start telling the truth? How about so-called Democratic Party supporters stop going online and spreading fake, false information? The new tax bill passed by House Republicans includes cuts to Medicaid and SNAP, but it does not require children aged 8 or older to work to receive benefits. The bill does make changes to the work requirements for SNAP recipients, including reducing the age at which parents are exempt from working from 18 to 7, and lowering the age at which work requirements end for other recipients by a decade to 54. So they decreased the age from 64 to 54 to require the work requirement, and they decreased the exemption from 18 to 7. So if you have children 8 and older, you should be doing something. Additionally, the bill would require states to take on more of the cost of administering SNAP and limit future administrations' ability to raise benefit amounts. The bill would increase work requirements for SNAP recipients, lowering the age at which parents are exempt from working from 18 to 7, and lowering the age at which work requirements end by a decade to 54. As far as Medicaid, the bill includes provisions that could improve the detection of beneficiaries who aren't eligible for coverage, and other provisions would change Medicaid to align with Trump's ideology and Republican priorities. The bill would also limit the ability to waive work requirements in areas with high unemployment rates. So, is it really too much to ask someone to put in 20 hours a week of going to school, going to work, or volunteering in your community? Is that too much to ask? I mean, for people who have their fucking hands stuck out, is that too much to ask? And then you liars go online and spread all of this ridiculous false information. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Nobody owes you a motherfucking thing. And excuse my language, but that's how I feel. I have to work for every fucking thing I get. I don't qualify for none of that bullshit. And I don't think it's too much to ask for you people to get off your butt and actually do something with yourselves. Nobody owes you shit.
Amendment would strike an especially harsh provision in this bill that is rooted in cruelty, not policy. This simple, straightforward amendment would strike the work requirement provision in this big, bad, ugly bill that lowers the age of what we call a dependent child from 18 to 7. From 18 years old to 7 years old. So I'm abundantly clear, we're saying that 8, 9, and 10-year-olds are no longer considered dependent children. Where did this come from? Why is this necessary? Since when is a first grader not a dependent child? Preventing families with children as young as 7 from losing food assistance, that is what we're debating here.
If you don't think that something is wrong with the shit that I'm about to show you, then something is wrong with you. So they're saying that they lowered the age of dependence from 18 to the age of 7. You heard what I just said? They lowered the age of dependence from the age of 18 to the age of 7. So they're saying right now that your 7-year-old is responsible enough to take care of a household. Oh, you think I'm playing? Look at this shit. Listen to this shit right here.
From 18 to 7.
Listen.
So now, if you have an 8-year-old child, it is the belief of this administration that that child is self-sufficient and could work and support the family.
Like, these employers is about to catch hell. They gonna be babysitters. And don't put me at the same company as my kids. I don't want to work with them. I already got to be with them at home. Like, y'all done already took them out of school, so now y'all want them to work, and then don't put them as the same company as me. Like, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. Like, and how much is you paying these kids? Because if you my 7-year-old he needs to get paid well. He can't work for pennies, so that ain't gonna work either. Then you can't even disrespect that kids. Because now they got to leave their job to go to this job. They're going to probably, oh my Lord, Trump ain't thinking this out. He ain't thinking this out clearly. And then the big families is definitely going to get the most, like, to hit the most. Like, them single parents, they got like 8, 9, 10 kids. They going to feel it the most.
So the Republican Party and Congress are trying to change the age of a dependent to the age of 7. They want to classify anyone over the age of 7 as independent to save a few dollars in the SNAP program. So let me get this straight. Your new pint-sized independent is probably still in a booster seat. Your new pint-sized independent cannot cook dinner for him or herself. Hell, in 13 states, you will go to jail if you leave your pint-sized new independent home alone.
Oh, and something a lot of people aren't aware of because they can't read and, whatever. The big, beautiful bill changes the age of dependence from 18 to 7. So you folks that get a big old check at the end of the year, income tax return for all of your dependents, they're over 7, no more. You can't claim them on your taxes. You can't claim them when you get benefits like SNAP. You can't. So how you...
Trump literally just said that if you over the age of 7 years old, you are no longer dependent. That 7-year-olds can go and work a job as if they were an adult. He's literally treating any child over 7 years old like an adult. And it's crazy because America is literally watching it happen. That means your 7-year-old is considered an adult. That 7-year-old, after the age of 7, they are no longer dependent on their parents. And the majority of the reason why he's doing this is because he said that over the age of 7 can no longer be claimed on food stamps. That if your child is over the age of 7, everybody know that the black families or whatever community, the white families, whoever's on food stamps, everybody knows that you get more food stamps per child. But Trump is literally saying that after 7 years old, you can no longer claim a child anywhere as a dependent.
I'm starting to think some of these people are just paid propagandists to get on social media and spread misinformation. But a lot of people are just misinformed idiots. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.